Hey guys, so we're doing the speed and camera test comparison here between the new Sony Xperia XZ and the iPhone 7 Plus. So we're going to start them up at the same time here, have a look at the performance. Oh, so can Sony beat the latest iPhone? That is the question. Both of them fully up to date, and we are going to be looking at the low light performance primarily when it comes to the camera, because that's the area where Sony needs the most improvement. So you can see iPhone very fast to boot up here. We are running the latest software, which seems very stable. It allows me to do the dual camera shots like the bokeh effects. And we have checked as well that Sony is not on any smart modes. So I'll just show you this. So Sony's built in a weird thing where you can put the smart cleaner on, but it means that you can't have many apps in the background, so that's turned off. So we're going to have a look here how they compare. Just open up a few apps day to day and see if you get a similar performance. Oh, so Starbucks. Bit back and forth so far. That was the iPhone. Similar. And we have the camera. iPhone again. Sony always a little bit slow when it comes to the camera for some reason. Weather. Very similar. Not bad, not bad. Music. Oh, let's try that again. Very similar. Album. Quicker on the right there a little bit. Let's open up some games, see how the memory management is. We do have Mortal Kombat. Which is very fast on the right here, as you can see. And we're still waiting on the Sony. I'm not going to wait for it, because if I do, then the video will go on for too long. Oh, we got this weird thing, so we'll just get rid of that. Sometimes Mortal Kombat does actually do that, which is annoying. Dead trigger. So nice and fast here on the iPhone again. Straight in there. And we do have something else. Angry Birds 2. Halfway loaded. Oh, one again. iPhone. I'm not waiting. I just want to get into the game. NBA. Go. Apple. Apple. So quite similar for that one, but I think maybe the iPhone did just pip Sony there when it came to most of them. So, you know, that is very nice if you are on the iOS ecosystem. We're going to have a look at the Wi-Fi speed. Usually iPhones don't disappoint here. And you can see it's very good, not the best. I've seen the 6S do better. I have no idea why it can't reach the 6S. Should be an improvement. but you can see we do get slightly worse performance. Sony, wow, you can see Sony's won this again. Very nice. That's what I like to see, performance. This is the real Sony X performance, not that other one. Much better when it comes to the upload as well. Very nice. How does this translate into real world performance? We're going to have a look here. So we can just go to Guardian, and go. Very similar. Gotta say, the display on the XZ is a million times better. I mean, look at the blues. This is on the vivid mode. This looks like yellowish compared to the Sony. That is really bad, Apple. I mean, look at that. That is a delicious display. I could almost eat it. But the actual speed, probably a little bit faster there on the iPhone, if we're to be nitpicking. So game spot, go. And again, a little bit slower here. It's like it's got stuck. Don't know what's happened there. Weird. Let's try Verge. And go. So maybe the iPhone with the web browsing in terms of the real world, you know, can't fault it. Just can't fault it. But I'm going to give the Sony a nod when it comes to the actual screen quality. I mean, the display is stunning, really. Probably the best like IPS I've seen. So we're going to have a look at the multitasking and then have a look at the camera. So the multitasking, as I said, the smart thing is turned off. And we're going to see if it can handle 3 gigs of RAM here, or did it need the 4 gigs of RAM, which is usual for high-end Android nowadays. Starbucks. So far it seems to be doing quite well. A tad bit of a delay sometimes, but most of the time very good. Camera, a little bit faster on the iPhone for the camera still. I think Sony could work on that. Let's try some stuff here. Album. So let's try a game. Angry Birds. Oh. So I'm not sure if that was a reload. It probably wasn't. I think it was just going back to where it was loaded. So, you know, not a problem. Not a problem. Much better performance here. Oh, I spoke too soon. That's what happens when I speak too soon. We do have a reload. So the iPhone goes in front here, unfortunately, for us Sony fans. And let's go to Dead Space. Oh, straight back in there. Very nice. So you can see the multitasking is very good here, if not perfect. Not perfect, but that's what I mean. You know, it's very good overall. The iPhone is slightly better though, on 3 gigs of RAM, probably because of the iOS, which is very you know, optimized and all that. So we're going to have a look here at the camera. How do they compare here? Sony's going with the 23 megapixel versus the the iPhones, which is 12 megapixel. And I gotta say, I think day to day I prefer the Sony, and I'm not saying that out of bias. I truly do prefer the Sony day to day. I mean, look at the difference here on this flower picture. I mean, the difference is stunning if you ask me. This was taken using the auto 20 megapixel widescreen mode. Not only can you get more detail in the shot because it's widescreen, but the actual pinkness of the flower just looks so much more lively compared to the slightly washed out kind of tone on the iPhone. And I think generally out of all of the kind of good light shots I did take, I definitely preferred the Sony's results here. You can see with these coins. But in terms of the good light, the low light, that's where things I think turn a bit more towards the iPhone. It has got the 1.8 aperture. It has got the optical image stabilization, things which do give it an advantage here. Sony's still very competitive. I don't know how they do such good results in low light, considering they don't have the ultra pixel technology. They don't have any of the technology the rivals are having, but they still manage to do very well when it comes to the low light. But I think generally you're going to have more reliable results with other phones at the moment, such as Samsung, as well as the iPhone 7 in terms of the low light. That's just generally. And some people are saying, you should use the 8 megapixel mode, it's better. Well, I did try that, and I did try the 23 megapixel mode, tried the manual mode, tried all the modes. It's pretty much the same really out of all of them. So that is what I found here. If you want the good light, your daylight sort of stuff, Sony kills it. But if you want the low light, I'm going to give it to the iPhone here. Same when you are looking at the video recording, which we can just have a quick look at here before we have a look at the result. So I think we did this in low light again. Oh yeah, we did actually do some bokeh shots as well. The dual camera on the iPhone, so you can see that does give you some nice effects here. But the Sony didn't do too bad in itself. If you really look close here, you can see a nice level of kind of natural bokeh on the Sony, which you don't get because you don't have a dual camera on the Sony. So I was very surprised that you could actually do this without any dual camera setup. So it's not going to be quite as good as the iPhones, which does have the dual camera obviously, so do bear that in mind. Now let's have a look at the actual video recording which we did do, and you can see here, if we just start them up at the same time, this is in 4K at night. And I gotta say, I think Sony's done really well here, given the lack of optical image stabilization. Is it any better than the iPhones? I'd say probably not. I think they're about comparable, really. I wouldn't really choose one over the other. Maybe the iPhones is a little bit brighter compared to the Sony's, but the Sony's obviously has the very nice the stabilization steady shot feature, and you do get a lot more modes as well when it comes to the Sony. So if you want to put on different effects, you can do, whereas you're a bit limited on the iPhone what you can do. So I think they're both very strong in the night at the end of the day. I think Sony could work on a little bit, making it a bit more steady when you're zooming in. I did notice a little bit of judder, but the focusing is really amazing. It has the predictive autofocus. Obviously, I don't think the iPhone does have that technology, so it can predict where moving objects are going to be going and focus on them. So yeah, I think that about summarizes it here when it comes to these two phones. You can see quite a mix when it comes to the performance day to day, which I think is very admirable of Sony, given that the phone is half the price, literally half the price here of the iPhone 7 Plus with the 256 gig storage. You do get some advantages with the Sony as well that we need to talk about, such as the physical shutter button. Very nice here if you don't want to get the screen dirty and you want a proper photography experience. You also get a much better display, in my opinion. That curved glass with the IPS I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous, this display. Also, I think you get the high res support through the headphones. You know, a lot of people are looking for that. Waterproofing, both of them come with that now, and a fingerprint scanner for some markets on the right of the phone. So, you know, there are definitely some things here to consider, like removable storage as well. I would like to have seen a 256 gig model maybe of the Sony, or even 128 gig. But generally, I'm very impressed with the device and would wholeheartedly recommend it, especially if you're a Sony fan. This is the one you've been waiting for. So yeah, you know, iPhone's still very strong when it comes to the performance. Going to give it, you know, a really good nod here. And hope you enjoyed the video, found it helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.